Fighting out of the blue corner, please welcome Michael Faulkner.
And we've now got Michael Faulkner coming out of the cage for his debut. Fights out of UK Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Elevate MMA. He's 33 years old, 6 foot tall, and this is a welterweight fight at 77 kilos. So this is combat jiu-jitsu as opposed to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and there is some slight differences in that, but you know, the fundamental is that this guy's got a ground game.
Would we see the difference between combat and Brazilian jiu-jitsu in this fight? Do you think if it goes to the ground?
I'm unsure really. You know, Michael's opponent is well versed in Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well, so I can't imagine at this level that the skill set's too diverse. But I guess we'll see. I suppose, Al.
But if it does turn into a ground game, Rich, that would be best for all concerned, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michael's got a very good coach in Sasha King, so we'll be keen to see what he's done there. And your fight coming out in a moment, Matt Dossett's under Craig Tetley, who's a heck of an athlete.
So once again, top-level fighters coming out of top-level gyms.
Yeah, and both these guys making their amateur A debuts as well. So you know, there may well be some hesitance around this, but I think the feeling out process in this one might be quite limited, and you know, be getting some action pretty sharpish.
And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, please welcome Matt Dossett.
It's fair to say that, you know, Matt's a fighter's fighter. You know, like I was at a grappling tournament with him maybe sort of 6 weeks ago, and he was more than happy to move up 2 weight classes and up an experience level just to get the quality of fights in. So you know, this is a guy who loves to compete, and in my eyes is a true competitor. You know, he's always looking for ways to push himself, and you know, getting yourself into an amateur A scrap's probably a good way to push yourself out. Especially
against a chap like Michael Faulkner, who's got everything to prove and comes from a great school himself. So.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really keen to see how this one kicks off, to be honest, Al. Like, you know, I think probably there might well be an extended sort of striking process going on, because both these guys do have decent jiu-jitsu pedigrees. So, you know, as tends to happen, and you've got guys with complementary skill sets, could turn into a real slugfest. But you know, I've been proven wrong before.
Stranger things have happened, and you know, although these guys obviously are BJJ specialists, or certainly they train at schools which specialise in those skill sets, these guys are well-rounded. They'll be training every single aspect of their game on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I certainly know Matt's trained a bit with Darren Moffat, who's one of the striking coaches at Total Combat MMA, and you know, Michael Faulkner's trained not just out of Sasha's Combat's Jiu-Jitsu, UK Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but also out of Elevate MMA, which will you know, help round out his skill set a little bit. So yeah, it could be in for a treat here, Al.
Very exciting.
So, ladies and gentlemen, about this evening is brought to you in association with Plains for You, and he's scheduled for 3-minute rounds under amateur mixed martial arts rules in the A-class category. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, he represents UK GJJ and Elevate MMA. Making his in-cage debut, let's hear it from Michael Faulkner. And his opponent standing across the cage, representing Total Combat, making his in-cage debut from Leeds, Matt Dossett. Your referee in charge reaction, Mr. Danny Walsh.
So both guys well supported today, massive crowd appreciation for both guys. So Michael's in the blue shorts and Matt is in the white and blue sprawl shorts, and we'll get underway very shortly.
Just like pause before we start the action, just to build the tension.
So get the anticipation up. And we're off.
And off they go. No glove touch, unless you count the touch of Faulkner's glove on Dossett's face. Nice leg kick.
Both exchanging leg kicks early. Ooh. Faulkner throwing another strong leg kick. 3 in a row, landed nicely there. See if Matt can get his jab off. Decent leg kick, turns tip over okay there.
Just had a slip.
Swing and a miss with that right hand there from Matt, but like some bad intentions on that one.
Side kick.
Gets his jab back in, leaning in with that jab a bit at the moment, but certainly committing with that right hand. Good leg kick as well. Good exchange on both leg kicks.
Excellent leg kicks from Faulkner. They're really landing with bad intentions.
They are. They're both feeling this out really nicely. Like, they're both exchanging these low leg kicks, and both scoring quite well with it, keeping it fairly balanced at the moment. Matt's scoring a good one of himself just there.
Dossett will have to be careful running into that left hand of Faulkner.
Well, Faulkner's going to have to be a little bit careful that right hand of Dossett, because he's absolutely throwing that heater. Nice drag down from the back there by Dossett, who tries to then move to mount, but may well have just given up there.
Okay. So
established a guard though. If he can just scoot his hips back here and get back to his feet, I think he'd be better off trying for another takedown rather than just accepting the guard. He's locked up both arms there, so if he can climb his hips up as well, he might be in a position to actually attempt a submission from this angle.
And this could be the fight we were expecting, Rich.
Yeah, as it hits the ground now, both guys sort of taking their time. As we've seen previously, a lot of guys in their amateur debuts, when they hit A-class, hit the floor and it pretty much falls apart immediately. The guy on top just teeing off and finishing. But both these guys strong in the jiu-jitsu game, and both actually looking to establish a better position with which to strike from, rather than just settling for throwing heaters in guard. It's a good sweep from Matt. Fantastic sweep there, and lands a bit of ground and pound to go with it, and back to their feet.
Big left hands there.
Lovely work from both guys there. So Matt himself getting taken down there on a bit of a lazy kick there. Massive takedown
really
from Michael Faulkner.
Right in front of the commentary position, that shook the table.
So Matt eating some knees from the back there from Michael. He's trying to tie up his arm though to sort of re-establish his position. You don't really want to be stuck in side control with a guy who's got a good jiu-jitsu pedigree and is also keen to put his hands on your face.
He's got to be careful those knees don't touch the spine though, Rich.
He is, yeah. He's kind of looking like he's kneeing more towards sort of the bum, really, to be honest, rather than actually just smashing him in the spine. But he will have to be careful when he's rolled away from him like that. Looks for a mount there from Michael, but Matt gets his knee in and blocks that now and is looking to work underneath. And
could be a attempt, perhaps.
I don't know. Matt might be looking like he's setting up an armbar from here, but I'm not sure he's got the room for it.
He is right up against the cage here, right in front of us.
He has settled for tried to go out underneath for that Kimura, but Matt's locked up his hands. He's having to give that up. He's still playing strong wrist control though. To the first round, good first round there.
Very strong first round from both guys.
Yeah, as we kind of thought, might be starting out with throwing some shots at one another, testing how they are on their feet before it kind of hits the ground, but kind of what we expected on the ground, really. Both guys too savvy enough to make massive mistakes and allow each other to get finished. So, Matt landing some good shots before he got to his feet before that exchange, and then Michael doing very well to get a great slam in at that side of the cage and take a strong side control and put some shots in. Quite a difficult one to call from my point of view. Both guys scoring multiple takedowns. So
very close round for the judges to have a look at there. But there we have some more rounds to go. So we'll just see how the tide turns, if at all. I mean, it will be interesting, obviously, because every round starts standing up. Who is the most willing to keep it standing and keep training those heavy leg kicks that we saw?
Some heckishly powerful leg kicks getting thrown around here, Al. But I think Matt looking to land that right hand, make a home for it, and try and finish the fight in one punch. But you don't want to eat too many more of Michael's leg kicks, because they're coming with some velocity, aren't they?
They certainly are. They're ricocheting around the walls of the Cedar Court tonight.
It's like a baseball bat hitting a block of cheese.
Very much so. That's a visual image for you there.
Yes, I actually appreciate that one.
Don't go to one of Rich Kenny's barbecues. They touch him up. We're underway round two.
That's it. Round two to go.
Interesting stance switching there from Matt Dossett, keeping it.
Looking like he wants sometimes to throw a side kick in there as well. I think just trying to keep Michael off his balance, really. Shoots him for quite a high clinch takedowns, and then just does a lovely leg trip over the cage there. Really nice. Matt's still controlling the overhook on both arms there. Not a lot of room to work though. It's a difficult position to get in. You don't want to get mounted up against the cage there. Managed to re-guard nicely and almost hit a position where he could have potentially thrown a triangle up there, but re-guard well, kicks away. I think he'd be best suited if he could just kick that knee across rather than forcing the knee slide guard pass and get back to his feet. I think he's quite patient to play on the floor, but they really need to...
back up. Faulkner's keen to get back on the feet. Interesting.
I think he actually had the range for a shot there, but maybe struggling with power a little bit. Faulkner again keen to get this to the floor, hitting a good double leg, and will just drag him down the cage to take that position and walk into the side control.
It certainly seems at the beginning of the second stanza that Faulkner is controlling the action, Rich.
He is, yeah. He's working his takedowns well. He's he's mixing up his choice of takedowns as well. He's coming off the cage, but some of them in the first round we saw a massive elevation on a double leg, quite tiring. Whereas here he's quite content to drag him down the cage and force a better position. But Matt doing a good job in guard, not really allowing a lot of offense to come in, and playing quite a tight guard game, and maybe just waiting for his opportunities. But both guys, good on the floor and not really throwing that much in the way of shots at the moment. Both maybe just respecting each other's ground game just a little bit.
Dossett did open his guard briefly there.
Yeah, it looked like he was throwing up for potentially a triangle, or maybe if he could want an angle on an armbar or over a platter or something. Should
we look to see if he's going to try and isolate an arm there and try and get some control over Faulkner?
Yeah, I think Faulkner's going to be too canny to make mistakes. You can see he's got his hands constantly on Dossett's body, and he's not leaving anything open. He's not leaving any options. But Matt trying to strike off his back, and Faulkner just trying to create some space. He's trying to get his arms free to land some big shots, but Matt just making it quite hard for him, controlling his posture really well, and tying up his wrists every time he tries to actually make a position to get space and strike.
Referee just asking him to keep working. Obviously he's not.
Yeah, he's going to stand
he's standing them up. Obviously not enough action there for.
Yeah, I don't
for the
think
rest
neither of them were really trying to advance their position there. They were just kind of exchanging wrist controls, and I think we're keen to get some right hands.
Right hand. It misses. Fortunately for Faulkner.
Finding a home for that right hand there from Matt Dossett on the back of the ear, I think.
Didn't have everything on it, but it certainly would have been felt.
No, I think power's starting to slip a little bit as we move into this late half of the second round.
And once again, Faulkner drags Dossett down into the deep waters.
Yeah, I think he's found a good option there in the pull down off the cage.
He's found a technique
dragging
that
him
works.
down and accepting the guard. Before he was really aggressively trying to advance his position, but now he's quite content to accept the fact that he's won multiple takedowns here. He's creating some space to strike, but Matt's not really giving him a lot of options. But probably a clear second round there for Michael.
I think that the tide is definitely going Faulkner's way after a much closer first round.
Absolutely, it was very back and forth in the first round, where it feels very much that Faulkner's decided to drag this to the mat and make this a difficult fight for Matt Dossett to win.
Do you think maybe Faulkner doesn't feel too much at risk, because he is spending a lot of time in the guard of Dossett and doesn't seem too worried about it?
Yeah, I think with the threat of punches as you move to sort of this MMA sort of style where ground and pound can finish these fights so quickly, the guy in the guard is in such a stronger position in MMA than they ever are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm sure in Jiu-Jitsu, if this was a grappling match, it'd be a whole different kettle of fish. But as soon as you put some gloves on guys, you're only one punch away from forgetting how to do everything. You get these guys controlling the wrist, and as soon as you lose that wrist control, you're eating big shots with not much room to move your head. So
as Mike Tyson famously said, everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, and that's never truer than for jiu-jitsu guys on the floor. You slap a black belt a few times, and all of a sudden he's not quite skillful as he was. And it's the same for all of us, really.
Let's see what the third and final round has for us.
Guys ready to go. Touching gloves in the third round because they didn't in the first. So let's see how this one goes.
A bit of mutual respect now, perhaps, Rich.
Yeah, I mean they've made this a fight, haven't they?
Nice body shot.
I would imagine Faulkner's going to want to drag this down to the mat. He's had great success in that second round with scoring it, and I think Matt's showing that he's got some power in those hands, but he just can't seem to find a home for it.
Would you like to see him set the hands up a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to see him not lunging with that jab or force like in this case, like where he's been taken down there from the exact same takedown before. He's not getting the underhook and looking to either secure a wizard or avoid the takedown. He's almost quite passive in being taken down, and maybe that comes from a guy who's confident in himself on the floor, but it's not going to win in this fight, unfortunately.
Well, I would expect, Rich, not wanting to speak for him, but for Matt Dossett, it must be disheartening to be continually pulled down off the cage like that.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it breaks you. You can't get dragged down off the cage 4 times in 2 rounds and expect that you're winning the fight. And everything you're doing is revolving around you basically being on your back and avoiding being beaten up, as opposed to finding a way to win. And Matt really needs to do something more here, because Michael's really taken control of this fight.
There's a few punches coming from the bottom, but there's not much on them as you'd expect.
He's got a great double stack guard pass there, though. If he can just shift that knee through and get low on his hips, he'll take a strong position in side control, and Matt could be in some trouble here. He's creating a strong frame to try and get some space, but side control is not where you want to be when your head's up against the cage. You're only a mount away from being really teed off on.
It'll be interesting to see, obviously these guys, they're both on their debuts, they're both very strong jiu-jitsu practitioners, how the cage is affecting them and their game plan. I'm sure they train in cages, but being under that sort of fight pressure and not having as many options as you'd like could be a game changer for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Michael Faulkner's really using the cage much better. Matt's allowed himself to be pushed up against it, and it's been the cage that's helped drag him down both times. Without him securing a decent underhook, he's left himself quite vulnerable to being taken down and slowly beaten up, really. He's not leaving much room for Faulkner to offer much in the way of offence, but when you're winning 2 and 3 takedowns around, you don't need to offer that much in the way of striking and sub-attacks.
No, certainly from a judge's point of view, they're seeing Faulkner on top for a majority of each round, and it's all she wrote.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Alan. There's not really much you can say about it, unless you're throwing up a crazy amount of submissions. I do think that's a mistake from Faulkner. I think he would have been much smarter to keep that on the floor, and rather than run the chance of getting clipped with a big shot.
Well, Dossett is in absolute Hail Mary mode. He saw that as soon as he was stood up, he came in with a really big punch and a big kick, and neither of them got him what he was looking for.
No, unfortunately not. And once again, Faulkner's dragged him down off the cage, looking to establish a better position, and with
big ground and pound,
with very little time left in this round, it's going to be hard to win.
And that's it. It's all over. Very strong showing from both parties, although I think, Rich, it wouldn't be a big surprise if Faulkner took that one away tonight.
No, I think he's probably walked away with that on the strength of the takedowns against the cage. I think just not enough offence offered by Matt Dossett off the floor. Plenty of defence and, savvy at looking after himself on the floor, but Faulkner has to have done something really wrong to one of these judges for them to have not given him at least 2 of the 3 rounds.
So a savvy fighter there in Michael Faulkner, almost using the cage as a weapon, Rich, in this particular fight.
That's exactly right,
And so, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 hardcore rounds, we go to our judges this evening. With a unanimous decision, your winner, Blue Michael